of outliving your money is terrifying, and I get it. And the Millionaire Insider's Women in Money study, the most common fear women had was running out of money in retirement. What was interesting also was that many of the women shared they didn't know what to do, and some who did shared they weren't doing it. Oh, yikes, that's so scary. We're going to look at what you can do to avoid running out of money in retirement and what are the specific steps and actions you can take. Hi, my name is Annette, your host of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast. I'm a certified financial planner and founder of the Millionaire Insider. For over 30 years, I have been advising and researching the top 1% of millionaires, and I am passionately obsessed with money, mindset, and the intersection of self-worth and net worth, and how the two connect and allow us to live fulfilled and wealthy lives on our terms. I'm a Midwestern girl who had a dream, began investing $25 a month 35 years ago, and today have a multi-million-dollar net worth. I teach the tried and true that only someone with over 3 decades of experience advising millionaires would know. This podcast is different about much more than money. We talk about mindset, success, money blocks, worth barometer, and all aspects of money and topics from practical manifestation, along with real-world how-to and everything in between, with the goal of making your journey easier and more fun. Think of this as coffee, actually matcha tea, learning real-world common sense money and life advice from a BFF that you can start applying today. If you want to create a financially free life you love, you are in the right place, my friend. This is the Wealth Inside and Out podcast. Today's free resource is our retirement planning checklist. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/RPC. You're going to love this resource. It provides an overview of the actions you need to take to avoid worrying about running out of money. And it's going to help to ensure you can live your life and retirement on your terms. We share insight in this free resource that many people don't even think of because we've been doing this for over 3 decades. One of the most common concerns, especially women have, is becoming a bag lady. This guide is a great first step to help you create a plan so you can stop worrying about money and enjoying your life. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/RPC. For today's show notes and resources, go to themillionaireinsider.com/41. All materials and intellectual property are copywritten by themillionaireseries.com. This information is not intended to replace any advisor or specialist or to provide any investment, financial, tax, retirement, or any planning or healthcare advice. All participants agree to hold millionaireseries.com and its affiliates harmless for results achieved or not achieved. So let's dive into how to avoid running out of money in retirement. Oh my gosh, such a critical topic. The fear of outliving your money is terrifying, and I get it. And the Millionaire Insider's Women in Money study, the most common fear women had was running out of money in retirement. What was interesting also was that many of the women shared they didn't know what to do, and some who did shared they weren't doing it. Oh, yikes, that's so scary. We're going to look at what you can do to avoid running out of money in retirement and what are the specific steps and actions you can take. So the first step is you got to review your retirement planning options and then create a plan. I recommend you determine how long until you can retire, how long until you want to retire, and how long until you can realistically retire. Now, if you have 20 years left to save, it's going to be a very different scenario than if you have 5. As long as you start now. So regardless of whether you have 5 or 20 or 30 or 50, start planning now. Absolutely critical. And some people say, well, I don't want to retire. That's great. That's the whole goal, is that you don't want to retire. But I was just in La Jolla working out and met some lovely women over there. Ironically, every single one that I talked to shared that they had concerns about not having enough money, that expenses had gotten so high. And one woman said, I always just figured I could work. I've always made a really good living and I was never worried about it. She got sick and now she can't work. And she said, it's just terrifying. Don't let that be you. Key is just start. Download the guide at themillionaireininsider.com/RPC and just start. The sooner you start, the sooner you're going to be able to stop worrying or wondering if it's taken care of. So the next thing you got to do is you got to create a retirement budget. This is going to include your current expenses and a realistic spending plan for your retirement. You want to consider both essential expenses, which are more need based, like housing, healthcare, utilities, as well as want based, discretionary spending like travel, hobbies, entertainment. Now, this is critical and something you rarely hear from experts. I encourage you to test drive your retirement plan, meaning I want you to try living on what you're planning on living on in retirement while you're still working. This is such an eye opener. People say, oh, I can live on 60% of my income. Let's see about that. This is what I oftentimes find is that experts recommend that number. But what I find is that most people, especially if they've been an entrepreneur or they've been really encompassed in their life and their business, they haven't had a lot of time to spend money. Now they're in retirement and they have all this time to do what they want. They actually need a lot of times more money. So again, you got to be aware of that. Now, ideally, if you say, okay, you're spending a lot less than you needed to while you're working, you're sucking that money away, that's going to help you. The other thing I want to share with you is that in 35 years, I have never had anyone tell me they have too much money in retirement. Now, some do, but no one thinks they do. So start saving now. You'll be so glad you did. The next thing you want to have is an emergency fund. This is for unexpected expenses. This can help prevent you from dipping into your retirement savings during market downturns or unforeseen circumstances. Your emergency fund is exactly for that reason. Only if you have an emergency do you touch it. Otherwise, it's just forgotten. You also want to make sure you include a healthcare plan in your retirement projections. You've got to plan for healthcare costs, insurance premiums, deductibles, and even potentially long term care expenses. There are a lot of options as when it comes to long term care policies, like hybrid policies that combine life insurance with long term care. It's really important that you check with a qualified long term care advisor before you make a purchase. Medicare is also something you need to factor in. It covers some of the medical expenses for retirees, but it's important to understand that there are a lot of gaps in the coverage. That's why most people buy gap coverage. Again, you need to review that and determine what's going to work best for you. The next thing you want to do is you want to maximize your retirement savings. You want to contribute as much as possible to retirement accounts such as your 401ks, IRAs, or similar plans. Take advantage of any employer sponsored retirement plan and consider catch up contributions if you're eligible, meaning they let you save more as you get older and closer to retirement. Your savings for retirement is not an emergency fund. Too often people take loans from their retirement funds and then they fail to pay them back. They plan to, but they never do. Your retirement plan can be a great source of income. Ideally, it's not the only source. Additional sources may include personal investments, real estate, if it's appropriate, or even a mix of the two. Ideally, you want to save an equal amount of money outside of qualified assets so that you have flexibility on how you fund your retirement. The majority of your retirement plan assets are going to be subject to ordinary income because you haven't paid taxes on those dollars. Whereas when it comes to your personal monies, you have more flexibility. And depending on how you invest, you can invest and generate tax-free income or even assets that are taxed at capital gain rates, which currently are less than some of the ordinary income tax rates. It's something that has been very, very helpful for my clients. So I really encourage you to include a tax plan in your retirement plan and use an advisor, a qualified advisor that can look at the two and be able to help you to make sure it's the best plan for you and your situation. The next thing you want to do is diversify your assets. Diversifying your investment portfolio allows you to spread the risk. Having all your money in the stock market, in the bank, or in fixed income is rarely a good idea. A mix of stocks, bonds, and other assets can be very helpful and help you balance out potential gains and losses. You want to always reassess your investment strategy periodically based on your risk tolerance and financial goals. And it may not even be appropriate for you to be in stocks or bonds. You may be better off being in mutual funds. That's why you always want to use a registered, qualified financial advisor, somebody who really understands the market, understands investing, and has experience doing it, not just in up markets, but down markets. We were just out to dinner with one of my clients who's been my client for like ever, like since the early 90s. I said, what's so terrifying right now is there's so many people out giving investment advice who have never been through a down market. Because what? It's been like 15 years. And he said, that is such a great point. I go, yeah, they think they know everything because anyone can manage money in an up market, not so much in a down market. And it's something that's so critical and so many people overlook. They're like, oh, yeah, I can handle risk. Everyone can handle risk in an up market, not so much in a down market. So you got to assess your risk and then you got to make sure that you're invested based on what you can handle and how long you have, your risk tolerance, all those things. The next consideration is annuities. Now, it was interesting that over 90% of women in the Millionaire Insider Women in Money studies shared that the risk of outliving their money was one of their top concerns. And I would say rightly so. Creating income streams with a qualified advisor is a great retirement strategy, but you've got to make sure that you're looking at your big picture. Annuities may or may not be suitable for you, but they can provide a guaranteed stream income depending on the type you purchase. So again, you got to make sure that you're working with somebody who knows what they're doing, but that is one way to help ensure that you're not going to run out of money. The next idea is to delay Social Security. Start taking your benefits later. This is going to increase the amount of money you get. Now, if you have enough money and you're healthy, oftentimes it makes sense to wait because then you can maximize your Social Security income. But you got to make sure that it works for your situation. I encourage you to schedule a meeting with the Social Security Administration to determine your options. They have more information than anyone. Let them know that you're considering retirement and you want to understand your options. Some people have told me that if you don't let them know you're considering retirement and you say, oh, I'm not going to retire for 5 or 10 years, they'll say, call us then. So let them know you're considering retirement and you want to understand your options. It can be very helpful to take your financial advisor along with you because we ask a lot more questions. We can help better determine, based on what they say, what the next best question is. And they can then help you determine the best solution based on your unique situation. Consider delaying your retirement or getting a part-time job. The first step is to really strongly consider delaying retirement because the amount of money you can save by delaying retirement, even 1 year, makes a huge difference. First of all, you're not spending your retirement money. And secondly, your retirement money has 1 more year to grow and take advantage of compound interest. Now, if that's not an option, hopefully you have done a test drive on your retirement plan. I encourage you to consider working part-time during retirement. There are so many benefits of a part-time job, additional income. It keeps you active socially. It also allows you to either delay or defer tapping into your retirement savings. And it can reduce the amount you have to take out. So it can be really powerful. And I think there are so many benefits of having a part-time job, especially if it's one you really love. Consider delaying RMD. RMD stands for Required Minimum Distributions, and it refers to the minimum required amount that you've got to take out from your retirement accounts, assuming you have some. And examples are IRA, a 401k. You are required to withdraw money from these accounts each year when you reach a certain age. The age continues to change, so you can search online for the current age. The amount of RMD is calculated based on your age and the value of your account from the previous year, 12/31 previous year. Failure to take the required minimum distribution can result in serious tax penalties. It used to be 50%. Now they've changed that, but my opinion, along with a lot of other advisors, is because they've reduced that, they're not going to be nearly as flexible with people who don't take it. So make sure you're calculating it. You got to calculate it on all your accounts and then take it. You also have to look at your 401k because typically you can combine the total amounts and then take it, but there are provisions where you have to take it out from your 401k. So just make sure that you are working with a qualified advisor and that you're looking at your unique situation. The next thing you want to do is manage your debt. Ideally, the goal during retirement is to have no debt. And if you have to have some debt, let it be a minimal amount. High interest rate debt can erode your savings so quickly. So the sooner you can pay down outstanding debts, and especially if you can do it before retirement, is ideal. I encourage you to hire a qualified financial professional. Financial planners can confirm you're on track to achieving your objectives. And this allows you to regularly review your plan and make adjustments as needed while you still can. There's so many situations that occur, market changes, personal goals may change over time. So it's so important to create a plan that's flexible and that you grow with. If you have money mindset issues, consider hiring a money mindset coach or a therapist. They can help work through different money scripts and different challenges you may have if you have a tendency of overspending or you've got issues with embodying your emotions. Overspending, overeating, oversexing, whatever it is all about not being able to integrate your emotions and embody them. And when you can get comfortable being uncomfortable and you can get comfortable being in that moment, it changes everything. So I really encourage you to do it. And it was really an eye opener to me because I've not had that issue with money. But when it comes to food, now most people would see me before now and say, I'm in shape, I'm not overweight, but I have literally lost between 8 and 10 pounds. But more importantly, I'm stronger than I've ever been. I feel better than I've ever been, and I don't overeat. Now, sometimes when I go out to eat and I want to eat some really good things, I probably indulge a little bit. But it's amazing how much more in control of food I feel. I sit down to watch TV. I don't have to have something to eat. We would always have popcorn. Well, you can imagine I have blood sugar issues. That's like the worst thing you can be eating is popcorn if you have blood sugar issues. But it was kind of like I had to have something. And now I don't. I've got my eating protocol and it's amazing. And it's taught me a lot about how to teach people who have spending issues to get those under control. So I hope that helps you. The next thing you want to make sure you're doing is having some type of plan for inflation protection. The cost of living continues to increase, and the projections are it's going to continue. Investments that offer protection against inflation can help you hedge against it. I really encourage you to make sure that you don't have all your assets just in fixed conservative assets. Now, again, it's critical that you review this with a qualified advisor because they'll be able to see your entire situation and know what's appropriate. You don't want to just start investing in stocks and then lose a ton of money and not be able to make it up. And then seeking professional advice. We talked about hiring a financial professional. You may want to consider other professionals, a CPA, an attorney, other people that can help you in your bigger picture plan. Let's recap of how to avoid running out of money in retirement. As I shared with you, the biggest concern in our recent survey with women, the number one concern is running out of money in retirement. It's terrifying. And a lot of them are not doing anything. Some of them don't know what to do. Some of them are doing nothing. So please don't let that be you. I was talking with another woman, interviewing her, and she said she's terrified of running out of money. She said, we have $1 million left. Now, $1 million sounds like a lot of money. I get it, but it's really not, especially if you're just living on earnings. She said some really interesting things as I was talking with her. And one was, we've been retired for 10 years. Now, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, if I was concerned about running out of money and I'd been retired for 10 years, now would be a perfect time to get a part-time job. That's how I want you to start thinking because she was so afraid she's going to run out of money. But what are you doing? Well, not really anything. Okay, so you're just worrying about it. Why couldn't she be working 10 or 15 or 20 hours a week? That would have a huge impact. And I just thought it was so interesting that they're spending more than they have. Whereas her friend said, I'm not really concerned about it because I've been retired for 10 years. I spend less than I have every month. So I'm able to sock money away. Very different scenario. We got to be really clear on where we are. And then we got to look at what we can do. Getting a part-time job, delaying retirement, making sure we've got a spending plan that'll work in retirement, managing debt, hiring professionals, making sure that we're hedging against inflation. Consider options like an annuity that allow us to have a guaranteed income. For many, living in retirement ends up being a very different scenario than they dreamed of, largely because they didn't take the time to create a plan along with a contingency plan. Meaning, I get a lot of times you have a plan, this is what's going to happen, but rarely is that what happens. Or they've had a plan, but they haven't continued to update it. It's so important that you look at your situation, your circumstances, and that you create a plan that you can adapt to and that has flexibility and allows you to grow with it. So that if the market doesn't do as well for a few years, or you lose money, or you have an emergency, or whatever may happen, your kids or grandkids need money, you have a plan B. And that is one of the most important steps you can take when it comes to ensuring you're not going to end up broke in retirement. We want your retirement to be your golden years, not your broke years. Nothing fun about being broke in retirement. And I can attest to that. Even thank God it's never been one of my clients. Oh, I have seen and heard stories of people, and it's just so sad. So don't let that be you. If you love the content of this podcast, please follow and subscribe to our channel so you get notified of episodes, and also give us a 5-star review and share a comment. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on taking another step to create a financially free life you love. If you're not sure about your financial future, or that it's in order, or you are ready to stop worrying about money, or possibly the fear of becoming a bag lady, ending up broke in retirement, or you simply are ready to know your financial house is in order so that you can have a bright financial future, please go to themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. And that doesn't stand for non-sufficient funds. It stands for next step finance. It's the next best step of what you need to do so you can avoid an NSF notice in your future. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. The number of women who were not broke or poor while working or married is staggering. The entire mission of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast is to ensure you have the information for you, your family, your friends, anyone who's willing to listen to it and apply it so that you can create a financially free life you love. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. Until our next episode, take one action that will help you create a financially free life you love. So I want to thank you so much for joining me for How to Avoid Running Out of Money in Retirement. I'm Annette, host of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast. All international copyrights are reserved. Bye for now.